What's going on, everyone? Crush back here with another video. Hope everyone's having a great day today. I know I am. And today, you already know what I got today. I got another episode review of The Last of Us. I think we're on the 4th episode now. I'm pretty sure we're on the 4th episode. If I'm wrong, then I'll basically, in editing, I'll call myself a dumbass or something like that. Y'all know how I am. And, yeah, you know the vibe. We're gonna first go through the summary, and then I'm gonna give my review at the end on how I thought this episode went. And, yeah, let's get right on into it. So the episode starts off with Joel and Ellie at a gas station. Ellie's inside, she's holding the gun that she got from Bill and Frank's house, and it looks like she's just practicing using it, just I guess kind of getting a grip of it, and just preparing to use it just in case some shit goes down, which spoiler alert in this episode. Well, number one, spoiler alert in this video, because there's spoilers, and spoiler alert number two, yeah, she ends up using it, okay? If you've seen the video game, you probably knew this was coming, alright? But we'll get into that later when we get there, okay? As Mr. Incredible would say, we'll get there when we get there, okay? But anyway, yeah, she's just practicing with the gun, just, I guess, looking in the mirror, just, putting a scenario in her head if she has to use it, okay? And then she goes outside, and she sees Joel at a car. And then she sees Joel trying to get fuel out of the cars around the gas station. And I honestly don't know how you do this, how you filter out the gas from a car into the gas tank. But if you use that tube that you saw in the Last of Us video game, as well as the Last of Us show, yeah, you're somehow able to do it. I guess you gotta, it has something to do with you breathing into the tube, and then, all the liquid just kind of flows right through the tube into the jerry can, which, again, I have no idea how you can even do this shit. It has to do with the current or some bullshit like that. I'm not good at science, okay? I'm not a Walter White. But getting back into the summary, Joel's basically just getting the gas. He's talking to Ellie a little bit about it, and, yeah, they're just gathering some gas, and then soon afterwards, they prepare to take another trip on the road. It's kind of funny, because throughout the episode as well, this is what I really like. This was one of my favorite parts for sure. Ellie has that pun book. Remember in the video game when she's in the hotel, she starts making all these pun jokes and shit, which, let me actually get one of them out. Give me a second. Yeah, so the book is literally called No Pun Intended, in which, funny, Totally funny. At least that's what it was called in the video game. I don't know what it's called in the show. But she just starts saying a whole bunch of puns throughout the show. I think she started out with one pun in the beginning, another in the middle-ish of the show, and then another at the very end of the show. And just to give y'all an example of what she said, which I'm just going to quote it from the video game because I'm too lazy to go back and rewatch the entire episode for that one little piece. I stayed up all night wondering where the sun went. Then it dawned on me. Yeah, funny, right? It's like we're watching Dave Chappelle, except on my channel, which I'm no Dave Chappelle. I'm cringe, if anything. Just looking through the Last of Us wiki, I'm actually looking at another one. Why can't a nose be 12 inches? Because then it would be a foot. Man, that's hilarious, I wish something else was 12 inches. Anyway, I'm getting inappropriate now. Let's go back onto the summary, okay? But yeah, they're in the car. They're on the road to Kansas City. The car scene in the show is pretty accurate to how the video game had its car scene. They're just kind of shooting the shit together. And Ellie finds a porno as well that she stole from Bill and just starts looking at giant cocks or whatever. She was looking at Johnny Sins, which, by the way, if you're not 18 or older, don't look at porn, okay? Even though I may have done it when I was way younger than I currently am. You don't need to do that, okay? But if you do, you should do what Ellie did and make a whole bunch of funny-ass jokes. Oh my god, how can he walk around with that thing? Which, hey, listen, there's some perks in having a micro penis, okay? I would know. But anyway, it's pretty much the same dialogue. Joel's just like, put that thing away. And Ellie's like, wait, hold on, I want to see the dicks. And then Ellie's like, well, why is it so sticky? It's hard to turn the pages. And it's kind of like one of those awkward dad scenes where when your kid finds out about sex for the first time and they're just like, hey, dad, what's sex? And you're just like, well, you see, son, when a man and a woman love each other. Joel basically had that type of facial expression. Spot on with the video game, in my opinion, spot on. This whole scene was goated. Even getting rid of the magazine was on point. She threw it out the window, which I am so proud of you. I am so proud of you, HBO and Naughty Dog, for replicating that. That was beautiful. But yeah, just to cut forward a little bit more, they're just driving for long periods of time, and then eventually they decide to camp out in the woods. They're just sleeping together. That sounded really fucking bad. Let me reword that. They're sleeping near each other in the woods, okay? And they're kind of just shooting the shit again. Ellie told another pun joke, and Joel explains why they shouldn't have a fire in the wilderness, basically hinting and foreshadowing that they're going to encounter hunters in the city, and that humans can basically be more dangerous than infected a lot of the time, you know? Cut to when they wake up, Joel's making coffee, Ellie's saying that coffee sucks, which... coffee doesn't suck, okay? I'm with my boy Joel on this one, alright? I get roasted so many times. People are like, coffee is shit. Which, if you don't like coffee, so what? But if you drink tea, I'm gonna call you a Brit and say that you have crooked teeth, okay? Me and my boy Joel are on the same page, okay? We're about to fight off all these tea lickers just like they're a horde of zombies, you know? But anyway, they gather all their stuff and they make their way into the city. So as they're making their way through the inner city, this is where the video game and the show are on point one more time on the same level at least. So as they're making their way through the inner city, some guy pretends to be injured and Joel immediately sees through it and is basically like, yeah, fuck this shit. If you think you're hurt now, just you wait until I run you over with my car, bitch. And then he goes full speed racer on him, and the guy immediately breaks character, jumps out of the way, and some of his boys who are on the roof throw cinder blocks down, shoot guns at him. What? Shoot guns at him? That sounds so stupid. Shoot bullets at him. And yeah, they're basically dodging and weaving it, and eventually crash into a convenience store. At least I think it was a convenience store. It was some kind of store in the local area, you know? Joel then sees a hole in the wall. He tells Ellie to go and hide into it while he shoots and kills everyone outside. And he kills 2 people. I think it's 2 people. 2 or 3 people. And then he gets into a fist fight with somebody that went through the back door and was choking Joel with a rifle. And he got Joel pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. Joel was kind of at the mercy of this dude. He was doing the best he could, but if it weren't for Ellie, he would be pretty screwed. So Ellie sees that Joel's struggling and about to get choked out with a rifle. And she takes the pistol that she stole from Frank and Bill's and shoots the guy in the chest. At least I think it was in the chest. It was somewhere in the upper region. And the guy falls, obviously too weak to fight back, and he starts begging for his life. And Joel, it takes him a minute to catch his breath, and he sees that Ellie has the pistol and motions her to give it to him. Meanwhile, the guy's still begging for his life, saying that he'll forget that they ever passed through town and that he's a family, you know, that type of stuff, to try and avoid getting killed. The guy even threw his knife onto the floor to try and, you know, show that he wasn't a threat. Dude, did you see what just happened? This man Joel literally smoked 2 of your people, okay? Why do you think he's gonna let you live? So Joel doesn't want Ellie to see that he's about to kill somebody, so he orders her back through the hole where she came from, which, now that I say it like that, again, that sounds like it means something totally different that you may or may not tell someone in the Call of Duty lobby, you know? Or some shit like that, you know? But she went through the hole in the wall, and Joel, meanwhile, stabs this guy to death. I'm pretty sure he stabbed him. And then after he stabbed him, he and Ellie proceed to try and sneak out of the city. They're just cowering through buildings, kind of just keeping a low profile. Meanwhile, the rest of the militia that ambushed Joel and Ellie, they realize that Joel killed 3 of their men, and they're out for blood, you know, they're out for blood, they're not happy. Before we see them actually roll into action, kind of like the Power Rangers, we see the leader of the militia, who's some lady, which I don't recognize from the video game. This is an entirely new, different character, interrogating this doctor that was in a storage unit that looks like a makeshift prison. And according to the dialogue, the doctor had something to do with her brother getting killed, and at first she doesn't kill the guy. He's, you know, pleading with her not to kill him. And then after this woman sees how Joel killed 2 of the mercenaries, I guess she thought that the doctor may have been working with Joel or maybe Henry, because Henry's name was mentioned a few times, and it's kind of a little foreshadow on what we're going to see in the future. So after she sees that there's 2 dead mercenaries, she goes back to the prison, shoots the guy in the head, and then proceeds to get the rest of the mercenaries to try and find Joel and Ellie. Even though they don't know it's Joel and Ellie and they presume it's Henry and Sam, she still wants blood, you know, she's out for it, because... can you really blame her? Can you really blame her? I can. I mean, it's not Joel and Ellie's fault. If these idiots, you know, didn't try and rob them, then that wouldn't have happened. But you know how it works in The Last of Us. Nobody's safe. Cut back to Joel and Ellie. They're just having a little bit of conversation while Joel is making sure that the militia isn't on their ass. He's looking through some makeshift blinds that act as newspaper covering. Joel's saying that Ellie shouldn't have had to do what she had to do, being how young she is. And then Ellie reveals that that actually wasn't the first time that she's shot somebody or killed somebody, or she wasn't very specific with her wording. And in the show's been a little bit different so far, so it's actually unknown at this time if this is Ellie's first official kill or if, she's actually killed someone in the past. And I'm not counting that cordyceps zombie that was in episode 3. I'm talking about a regular human, because this dude was a regular human. And while Ellie may not have struck the guy with the killing blow like Joel did, it was still the first time you see Ellie actually shoot a human being. The show's a little bit different with that scene than in the video game, because in the video game, Ellie actually kills someone, straight up kills someone that's trying to kill Joel. But in the show, Ellie just mortally wounds the guy by shooting him. It's kind of like how Jesse Pinkman in Breaking Bad shot Tuco Salamanca and severely injured him, and he was bleeding out to death. And then Hank Schrader later shows up and headshots Tuco. That's basically what happened with Joel and Ellie. So after Ellie tells Joel that it's not her first time that she's killed or just shot somebody, because again, we're a little bit unclear, she wasn't super specific, Joel gains a little bit of confidence in Ellie and realizes that she can do what is necessary if she must, So Joel gives her the handgun. I don't know exactly what kind of gun it is, the 22 gun, I'm assuming. And he shows her how to properly aim with it, and he just tells her to keep it in your backpack unless you absolutely have to use it. So for the rest of the episode, the militia are still looking for Joel and Ellie, but they don't even realize it's Joel and Ellie that they're looking for. They're looking for Sam and Henry because they think that Sam or Henry were the ones that killed those people. And one of the new characters that we get to see in this episode is the voice actor for Tommy. We get to see the voice actor for Tommy reenacted as a new character, as one of the head militia guys. I can't remember his name. I think the guy's name is Perry. At least according to the gamersradar.com site. But Perry, the head militia guy, he doesn't really have that big of a role in this episode, besides just being in charge of the men and the soldiers and just looking for Joel, Ellie, Henry, and Sam throughout the episode. And the one scene I thought that was really cool with Perry, along with Kathleen, I think that's her name, the leader of the militia, was when they were looking for Sam and Ellie, Joel, Henry, whoever they thought they were looking for. They went in the basement of this one building, and when they first walked into the basement, you see a big-ass crater, and they're just kind of looking at it and talking a little bit, and then the crater, it looks like it starts to sink in, and you even hear some noises coming from it, which probably are infected. It's not really too clear because we don't actually see infected in that crater, but I'm sure it has something to do with the infected, and it's probably a whole horde of infected that are at risk of leaking into the city. Perry thinks Kathleen should inform the militia about it, but Kathleen thinks that they should find Henry and Sam first and then warn them, and then reluctantly Perry agrees with her, and yeah, that's pretty much the end between those two and the militia. And then we cut back to Ellie and Joel. Joel boosts Ellie into a building, and then she unlocks a door for him so that they can sneak into an apartment building. I think it was an apartment building. I'm not actually sure what kind of building it was, but it was a pretty tall building, 45 floors. It's definitely not something you want to walk up, and since it is the apocalypse, since there's no electricity, or at least not enough to power the city, you kind of have to walk up. You kind of got to get your cardio in, and Joel being 50, I think it was 56 or 7, it was somewhere in that mark. My boy's obviously going to get tired, so they walk up a good amount of that building and then stop. I don't remember which floor they stopped on, but it was one of the higher up floors, obviously, because they don't want the militia to catch them. Joel puts a whole bunch of glass on the ground to try and hear in case somebody breaks in while they're sleeping, so that, he can be ready to kill them if need be, And then Joel and Ellie prepare for bed. Ellie tells another joke that Joel actually starts laughing at, and you can tell their bond is just getting better and better over time. So what I presume was a few hours later, Ellie starts screaming for Joel to wake up. Not really screaming, but just getting his attention to try and wake up. And Joel wakes up, and the first thing he sees is some guy putting a gun to Ellie's head. And then he looks around and sees a gun at his head as well. And you see a black dude putting a finger on his lip and indicating for them to remain silent. And it's pretty clear that the characters that are holding them at gunpoint are Sam and Henry. They look a little bit different though. They clearly look like they're in much more rough shape than they were in the video game. They have... I don't even know how to describe the makeup that they have on, or makeup or camo paint, whatever you want to call it. It honestly reminds me of a prank I did once to my brother where I put Sharpie on binoculars, like, you know, the lens, not the lens, but the sides of binoculars that you put your eyes on. And whenever he would put his eyes on the binoculars or look into the binoculars, you would get circles around your eyes. That's pretty much what Sam or Henry had on their eyes. I don't know which one's which, honestly. And then the show ends right there, indicating that this is only a part 1 episode and a part 2 chapter where they're trying to escape the city. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And now let's get into my review of this episode, okay? Now, I enjoyed the episode. I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was pretty dope. I liked the first half for sure. I thought it was pretty sick. And I really have no complaints, if I'm gonna be honest. The first half for sure followed, or at least was super based off of the video game, where, especially the truck scene and Ellie looking at the porno, that was definitely spot on. Perfect. 10 out of 10. Mwah! A work of art, you know? And then obviously the guy jumping in front pretending like he was injured, that was clearly part of the storyline. And I think my only complaint that wasn't on point with the original Last of Us storyline was how they killed the one dude in the store. I forgot his name. His name don't matter. Name don't matter, y'all. I think it would have been a lot better if Ellie shot the guy strangling Joel in the head and just immediately killed him. I don't care about this guy or your stupid family, dude. I care about you getting smoked by my boy Joel, okay? But I didn't want him getting smoked by Joel as much as it was, you know, enjoyable in the show. I thought Ellie should have killed that dude just to show that she's getting rougher and tougher as the show progresses. Which, don't get me wrong, she clearly is if she was able to shoot a human being. Like an actual human being, not a zombie. So I guess she's taking more of a gradual step into becoming a killer, a certified Joel Jr., you know? But I still think it would have been better if she actually killed that dude that was strangling Joel. I don't think Joel should have done it. And obviously the leader of the militia, along with the voice actor who played Tommy, well, I guess I'll just call him Perry. Those were obviously new characters that were never introduced in the original Last of Us storyline, which I don't mind, I don't care. It gives us a little bit more of an insight on how the militias run. It kind of reminded me of the militia from The Last of Us 2 a little bit, the structuring, how they're more of an organization, I suppose. Obviously, it's a much smaller organization / militia than the WOF in The Last of Us Part 2. But it was still cool, though. It was still cool. Can't complain. And for the rest of the episode, it was entertaining. I can't complain. I think it was really good. We could have had a little bit more sneaking around, silent kills, stuff like that. Just to really show how brutal The Last of Us is. But you know what? I can't complain too much. I know that next week's episode is going to be about an hour long. And while this episode was obviously a whole half an hour shorter than last week's episode, I can't complain. It did everything that last week's episode didn't. It had action, it had more of the actual storyline in it, and I enjoyed it much more. I'm not hating on the episode 3, by the way. I personally thought it was enjoyable. It just was not accurate to lore. That's all I gotta say. But yeah, how would I rate this episode? I would say 9 out of 10. I think it obviously could have been a little bit better, a little more accurate, but I can't hate it, you know? Can't hate it. So let me know what you guys thought in the comment section below. That's going to be it for the video. Hope all of y'all enjoyed. If you did, make sure to either subscribe, donate, or get the fuck out, and I'll see y'all next week. Peace.